feels to me like one of the goals of human life in this era is to get to the point where you're not consuming content anymore. To get to a point where you can just put your phone away for like a week, a month, maybe use it here and there for like a phone call, a few texts. But to just be in the real world. To be in the physical reality, nature, life, to be actually alive and not captivated in captivity to an image on a screen. Now these are tools, and they are very helpful. But for the majority of human beings, myself included, it's more of a weapon than a tool. And it seems like as we create content to like help better one another, to help figure out what to do with our lives, how to create a better world, for so many people, what's needed isn't more strategies, guidance, direction, but literally just removing the distraction altogether, to make space for actual feeling and being and presence. It feels to me like there are a lot of us who are fortunate to know what it feels like to actually like be in your body, to actually be alive in the world, to actually experience reality itself. There are increasing and stupefying and, quite frankly, terrifying numbers of people who actually don't know what the real world is. They haven't had the experience that isn't just this chronic outward reaching for distraction. Now this applies to technology as much as it applies to consumption as a whole, to consumption of food, to consumptive pleasure, to consumption of one another in relationalities of extraction. Even like people who are born working into their little restaurants, their little family business for like 12 hours a day, and that's all they do. And maybe that's better because it's real. Maybe that's better than the global screen hypnotism that's going on. Anyway, so this is technology that can be used for good. The screens on our phones are literally made of crystals. So, as conscious and aware beings, we have the ability to use these technologies for good, for the dismantlement of inversion with truth, for the proliferation of truth, for the amplification of truth, for the amplification of a voice, to be able to reach other people that it might not normally be able to reach, for prayers to be felt and heard and seen and materialized in the convivial becoming of co-creative perception, in our sights sharing vision. Particularly when these tools bring us together into the real world to create tangible, material change and fruition. But it feels to me that there's a whole lot of noise, and there's a whole lot of capitalistic overproduction and incentivization of that overproduction, so that even spirituality becomes commodified, becomes noise, becomes not an intentional, I have this gift and the sacred offering to give to the world that comes from my heart, but rather, I gotta create content, I gotta create content, I gotta create content. I gotta consume content, I gotta consume content, I gotta consume content. For some kind of illusory contentment that is contentless, that is empty, that is fleeting. Now, this is part of my journey in this realm as a being who from a very young age grew up with unhealthy relationship to these screens. There are people in the world, I'm sure, who might be able to have healthier relationships with the screens. But the point is, in either case, I feel like it's an objective truth that just to get sunlight and to step away from the screen, to have a 2-hour screen time because you were outside in the sun all day, is objectively going to make you feel better than if you have 12 hours of screen time. So, it feels to me like the goal for a lot of people who may be chronically looking for some assistance on YouTube, on Instagram, on Substack, on Twitter, on whatever platform it may be. We're all seeking love and God and union within, so we can feel held and accepted and safe within ourselves. And for most people, even if the content might be really helpful, might have really beautiful things to say, might have like real potent guidance, a lot of people might just be better off like taking 2 weeks without any technology. They would get a lot more out of that than watching really helpful videos about what they should do with their situation. In Taoism, there's a practice called apophatic meditation. Apophatic means removing, or something along those lines. Where the meditation is not about like invoking anything. It's not about calling anything in. The meditation is about removing the layers that stand in the way of the truth of the present experience. removing all that is not to make space for what is, where reality itself can become an apophatic meditation of sorts when you apophatically remove the things that don't serve you, the things that appear to maybe be helping you, are helpful tools in some ways, but really are just distracting you. Where all of the questions that you're asking to the internet, to other people, you can just ask them to God. And you can just ask them to Mother Earth. And you can just ask them to your own heart. And then you just sit in stillness and you listen. And in the silence of the wind, the answers whisper. And in the silent space between your heartbeats, your heart is humming with the song of your soul. And it says, I am. And in this I am, which you are, in your soul, in your prayer, in your connection to God, all of the answers that you're looking for are right there. And all of the guidance that you need on what actions do you need to take to improve your life, to be in a better situation that you are in now, to embody your purpose, to pursue your passion, to offer your gifts to the world. All of it is within. And all of it is with God. And all you have to do is just ask God. And God will answer. Now the answers may not be what you're seeking, may not be what you're looking for, may not be what you're expecting, may not even be pleasant, may force you to confront your shadows, may force you to confront all the ways in which you lie to yourself. But they're answers, and they're the answers that God knows you need. So, sometimes I wish I could throw my phone into a river. And I have wished in the past, and I still have these wishes in some ways, to just go, to just go. Go to the Himalayas and apophatically purify myself in days of devotional prayer and meditation and hiking and going with the flow in relation to my last video and writing. The amount of books I could write if I had nothing but free time on my hands, no distractions, a little mountain hut and cabin in the Himalayas. I could write all the guidance that I need into being. When I'm in a writing trance, the things that come through contain a potency of divine guidance that I often forget is inside of me. And that I often neglect when I find myself just fucking asking some YouTubers who have done the things that I want to do. Watching videos on the step-by-step guides on this and that. So, these are just some things that I'm pondering and sitting with that came through earlier. which is kind of a question as to like, what is your intention? What is my intention? What is our collective intention as humanity when we interact with one another in the world, period, but also through these digital layers? Which is where purpose and passion and pain come into the picture. Because ultimately, one of the sacred goals is to heal our pain, create the space to pursue our passions, embody lives that are purposeful, rather than empty, rather than consumptive, rather than wasteful, rather than extractive, rather than deceitful, rather than purgatorial. And there's another word I'm looking for. Self-negating, self-imprisoning, perpetual cycles of self-repeating karmic debt. We have to be purposeful, intentional with the ways that we use technologies and with the spaces that we create in the world, with the offerings that we give, with the ways that we interact with one another. And quite frankly, when we remove distractions and we allow ourselves to be more deeply present with whatever it is that we're doing, and we allow ourselves to reconnect with ourselves by going into nature, where ourselves dwell in enmeshment with Mother Earth and Father God. When we go into these spaces, when we sit naked by the river, eating watermelon, it leaves room for the intention, the prayer, the purpose to reveal itself to us. Enter this sacred space. Ask God the questions that you have. Answers reveal themselves. And then, in a process of wu wei, effortless activity, non-doing, also in the Taoist tradition, action just acts on behalf of God, through you. I think my phone's about to die, so perfect. Do less, and do what you do more intentionally, more prayerfully. And if you're one of those people, make it one of your goals to get away from your phone and from technology as much as possible. And see how that allows you to feel your body, to feel your heart, to feel your prayer.